Good evening, Tiger fans, and thanks for joining us this week on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we visit with the head coach of Fighting Tiger football, Perry Thomas. Coach Thomas joins us, and Coach, it's been a few weeks off, probably the biggest extended bye you've ever had in your career, and not a situation you want to be in, but the Tigers using that as, a positive, taking the time off, healing up, resting up, and you still got another week or so before you get back on the field.
Yeah, I think it'll be 28 days, between the games, and a long time. But, we've been trying to make a positive out of it. We've had great practices, some extended practices with a lot of conditioning and so forth, and then some have been short and crisp. We had a live scrimmage where we scrimmaged for a half with the team, and so we've been, it's been positive for us. We're just keeping our focus on the big prize and getting better every day.
You mentioned that live scrimmage, Coach, and I do want to touch on that just a little bit. I was able to come out and watch some of that, and I thought it was interesting. One of the guys came over to me and he said, I was really kind of bummed about doing this. We want to be on the field, want to be playing. I was really bummed I didn't see the point. And then when you guys get going, he said, I see why.
Yeah.
A few plays, and I could already tell that I had regressed a little bit physically just from not being on the field and actually playing on Saturday. So you were dead on your team there. You knew what they needed, and that was a big, a scrimmage or practice, I guess.
Yeah, it was big for us. It was really, a big deal. We knew the guys probably wouldn't want to do it. They never want to beat on each other, and we didn't want to do it. Because if you're gonna have injuries, you don't want it to happen in practice. But at the same time, you can't mimic that game tempo. And we practice fast. You've watched us practice, and when we get to our team stuff, we go fast and we go at tempo speed. But it's still not the same as getting lined up in a game situation with a little pressure on you and having to rep those plays correctly on both sides of the ball. So, we went out and we did our one offense and one defense as a team, and they played pretty much everyone else. And we did it like a game. We had a pregame warm-up just like a game. We had home and away uniforms just like a game. And, we took it serious, and we got some good work in. We played a half, and, you could tell that the ones especially, which the ones are the ones we were focusing on, laboring a little bit, start getting a little winded because they were playing everybody else. And so the depth started wearing them a little bit, made it more like a game type atmosphere where they had to think a little bit also. So it was a good, productive day for us.
And that was with the extended layoff, kind of like you said, maybe a necessity,
Right.
Not something you necessarily would do again as you get closer to that game with Bethel coming up.
No, we won't do it again. We felt like we needed to do it. It was right in the middle of the 3-week break, I guess, or 4-week break, whatever it is. So we felt like we need to do it, and we won't do it again for the season. We'll just get ready now and focus on Bethel.
And you mentioned, Coach, too, the injuries. I guess as a coach, that's probably the biggest worry for you. It's not like a sport where that risk isn't there. It's there on each and every play and all across the field.
Yeah, even when you're doing third reps in practice where you're going live but you're not taking them to the ground, there's a chance of injuries because somebody's getting hit somewhere in football. So, in the scrimmage, it was live except for the quarterback, so we were taken to the ground. And, but even in daily practice, when we're going ones against twos or ones against ones and we're blowing quick whistles and we don't take people to the ground, you still have that risk. And, football is such a unique sport because it's not like other sports. You have that risk of injury, so you have to be careful with the live reps. And you also can't just get a game. People say, well, why don't y'all play so-and-so, in 2 days? It just doesn't work that way because of the injury factor and the preparation. So it's a unique sport, but we were able to get through it pretty good. And I think we had one young man to get hurt a little bit, but, that's football, and you just got to bounce back and continue to prepare.
As the Tigers look forward now, and Coach Thomas talks about the preparation, they go moving into the game with Bethel. That will come on the 30th. We do want to take a look at just the remaining schedule and an announcement. I don't think it's breaking news necessarily, but it is news to be sure. And that comes, you've got the Bethel game and Kentucky Christian, Cincinnati Christian, Coach. 3 divisional games in the Bluegrass division there. And now, if you look, for those following along on television, you'll see the 10:21 Ave Maria, 10 a.m. The Tigers have been able to reschedule that game with Ave Maria, so they will go to Naples there in the middle of October or so. And then you finish up, Coach, with 3 teams ranked: Georgetown, Cumberland, and Lindsey Wilson, all ranked in the top 25 of this week's NAI top 25 poll. So some huge matchups to end the season as you've got these 4 games before you get into those ranked teams.
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 talented teams that we'll face and hopefully get to face them before we get into those ranked opponents. And then, you finish up in a whirlwind with 3 really, really, really good football teams. And that's not to discount the teams that we played before then. Certainly Bethel, beat us last year, and they're a traditional power in the Mid-South Conference, and Cincinnati Christian's improving. Kentucky Christian has a new coach and improving, and Ave Maria, you have not only a talented football team you're facing, but you have an extremely long trip that you have to deal with. So, there's some big games ahead of us. Take care of our business, then we have 3 high-ranked teams at the end waiting on us, and that would be, if you're looking for playoff exposure and so forth, those are the games that would get you in that top 20.
As we extend this segment here just a bit, Coach, the thing I guess that still rings true for the Tigers, and not every team can say this, but I guess you can to a certain extent because divisional games haven't taken place yet, but you still control your own destiny.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We haven't played the games yet, so that certainly hurts you with the rankings somewhat, but because of the toughness of our schedule and the names of those guys that we will play, if we take care of our business, you still have a shot to not only win the league title, the divisional title, but also go to the playoffs and get in that top 20 ranking. So, we control our own destiny. We have, 6 games ahead of us, or 7 games, now. 7 now ahead of us, and it feels weird saying that mid-year almost, where we should have 4 done, but we have 7 games ahead of us, and we have control of that. Now, those teams will have something to say about it, but our focus has to be to continue to get better every day. And as long as we're taking care of ourselves, we'll have a shot.
And before we close real quick, Coach, adding that Ave Maria game, it does give you a game back that you had lost. It does make the schedule a little tighter down the stretch now, and we're not going to complain about that after having the long layoff. It's good to have the games, but walk me through how that come about.
Well, I think it was just teamwork with the commissioner and our people here, Rusty and Jim, working with Ave Maria, trying to see if we could get something done to get a game in. And Ave Maria approached Faulkner about moving their game. They both had they play October the 21st, and they had a mutual opening on October the 7th. And Faulkner, fortunately, our blessing, they agreed to do it, and that enabled them to play us. And the big deal for that game, is we need a game now. So from my standpoint, having that game is nice because you don't want to lose games, but we need a game now. But it's nice because hopefully you're in a rhythm, and you're going to play 7 straight at that point. And also it's going to help with your stats. So you have guys like Hunter Brown and some others that are competing for national exposure. Then it gets their stats up there with other teams.
Coach Thomas and the Tigers do have that makeup game there, 10-21, as they'll travel to the Naples area for that matchup with Ave Maria. We'll step away and come back and get Coach's thoughts on the Mid-South Conference as we take a look across the landscape here of this new, larger Mid-South Conference here on the Perry Thomas Show.
Campbellsville Baptist Church, a church where all ages grow in the love of God. From children and youth worship to sports ministry and mission outreach, Campbellsville Baptist Church shares the love of God both in and outside of the sanctuary. Join us for worship on Sunday mornings at 9 and small group Bible study at 10:30. That's Campbellsville Baptist Church, the people of God sharing God's love because God's love changes the world.
Citizens Bank and Trust knows just how hectic your day can be. Stay on track during your busiest days with Citizens Bank and Trust. Buying the latest gear to support your favorite team, or grabbing a coffee after studying all night. Citizens Bank allows you to deposit your checks with the snap of a picture at any time, especially after hours. Citizens Bank and Trust, keeping you on schedule. Now introducing Apple, Android, and Google Pay.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you're 2 or 102, the Tigerville Grill has something for you. Take advantage of the Build Your Own Burger menu. In the mood for something small? Choose one of the many delicious slider options. Call ahead and use our fast and easy drive-thru. Oh, that cool freestyle fountain drink machine? We've still got it. The Tigerville Grill, located at 314 North Columbia Avenue and open to the public 11 to 8 daily.
A champion doesn't get days off. It takes determination and drive to realize goals. From long nights to early mornings. From the courts to the classrooms to online. At Campbellsville University, this is why we play. This is how we learn. This is where champions are made. Find your calling for a life change at campbellsville.edu.
Thanks for staying with us, Tiger fans, here on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as we visit with the head coach of Fighting Tiger Football about the Mid-South Conference. Coach, it's a new, larger conference, over 20 teams this year as you've added what was the Sun Conference. They're now the Sun Division. And I guess before we kind of look at the standings and different things, your assessment maybe here in the early going of this new, bigger conference.
Well, I mean, it's obviously has always been a competitive conference, and certainly pulling some of these teams in has made it even more competitive. There's some quality opponents in there, and and some talent that has been added. I think we'll see that the travel obviously increases, and you'll have potential for things to happen like the hurricanes and so forth, some things you can't control. But the competition on the field is tremendous, and I think the fans every week will see some tremendous football teams.
And you've seen some of the stalwarts across the conference in the past, like, Campbellsville's had their years, Georgetown, Faulkner, Reinhardt, Cumberland's, and others. Now you add another top 10 program like a Southeastern to the conference. Is there in the top 10 this week?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes our conference stronger and that much more depth. I think it's going to be harder now to get. In the past, we would get 3 and 4 teams in. So I think now you're probably, most of the time, going to see those 3 divisional winners. You might sneak a 4th one in, but it's going to be hard because it's less spots available by adding this, extra division. So it's less at-large bids available. But it's going to be battles to come down to. The tough part about it is that every year somebody's playing some of those good teams out of division. I think we talked about Lindsay and Southeastern plays coming up, and Southeastern was supposed to play Georgetown a couple of weeks ago. Somebody's playing Reinhardt, somebody's playing Campbellsville, somebody's playing Georgetown and Lindsay. So that's where you get in trouble, is the knocking out each other off out of division. But it's great for the fans, and it's great from standpoint as a head coach, because you don't have to motivate your guys. They know every week you got to come ready to play, regardless of what the opponent's record is. You look at us last year; we were 2-8, but we could have won 5 more games easily, and that's what you get every week. So it's fun, a lot more travel, some other headaches, but at the same time it's fun every week because you got a good opponent to play.
The Tigers still have a week or so before they get to another opponent. That'll be within the Bluegrass division as we take a look at the Bluegrass standings. And these are all non-divisional games, Coach. So Cumberland of Tennessee at 4-0. Nobody has played a divisional game in the conference yet. Right. So Cumberland out top. That's basically based on the fact that they have one more win than Lindsey Wilson. Cumberland, Tennessee at 4-0, number 21 in the nation. Lindsay, 6th in the nation, 3-0. The Tigers there at 2-0, as is Georgetown at 16 in the country, are the Georgetown Tigers. Then Bethel at 1-2, and then Cincinnati Christian, Kentucky Christian there, bringing up the rear here to this point in the season. And Coach, 3 ranked teams in the Bluegrass division. You think maybe we'll reorganize this thing. We'll do this or we'll do that. Maybe it'll get a little easier on the Tigers, and certainly not the case to this point.
Yeah, it's a dandy, that's for sure. I mean, you have to you have some battles in there. I think it's 4 teams sitting there undefeated, and all of them can play, and that includes us. I think we're a good football team, so it's going to be a battle every week. And Bethel's a very good football team, and they've lost to some good opponents, and they're going to put fear in a lot of people. And so it's going to be a battle every week in the league, and you got to come ready to play. And we have, if we're fortunate enough to be going into those last 3 games undefeated, now you're looking at 3 at the top, at that time probably be 18, 20 ranked teams in the country that we have to face at the end of the season. So, you better buckle up and get ready to roll.
It's a lot of familiar names, too, along the Appalachian Division as we look at the standings there, and you see Reinhardt out top, no surprise there, 2-0, the 3rd-ranked team in the country. And then again, a lot of familiar names there in the middle. Cumberlands of Kentucky at 2-1, Union College 2-2 on the season, Bluefield and U-Pike both at 1-2, and then a couple of the new names there at Point and St. Andrews at the also at 1-2 on the season. But Reinhardt, they're going to be a perennial power, and then
Right.
teams like Cumberlands, Union, and Bluefield playing a little catch up here.
Yeah, I mean, and U-Pike is a tremendous team. U-Pike's 2 losses, one is to us, and the other's to Division II Carson Newman. That's a national power. So they're a very good football team. I've watched Union on film, and Union has a very talented team. We've played Point, and Point's able to do some things to people. And of course, Reinhardt's kind of out front leading right now, and I would expect them to win it. But I think U-Pike is going to have something to say, in that second, third spot in that division.
And Coach, before we let you go, we want to take a look at that Sun Division. That's a lot of the new names in the conference come from the Sun Division. Southeastern pacing that division currently. They're number 10 in the country, 3-0. Something's going to give this weekend as Lindsay and Southeastern will meet up the road in Columbia, Kentucky. Ave Maria 1-1. Faulkner, a bit of a surprise there, 1-2 on the season. Their losses, however, to Georgetown and Reinhardt, nothing to hang your head about. Weber International 1-2. Warner and Edward Waters still looking for their first wins of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Faulkner could very easily win that division. Southeastern, I have obviously something to say about that top 10 program, but Faulkner's a heck of a team, and without a loss in their division, they're still undefeated in that division. Warner and Weber, good football teams. So, that division right there is going to be a battle down. Also, right now, it looks like Southeastern and Faulkner is kind of leading the show, and I think it'll probably come down to those two.
Well, Coach, we'll let you get out of the hot seat this week. I look forward to talking to you next week when we can actually preview a football game.
Well, it'd be great to get back to talking some ball and like everybody else in the country is doing.
Coach Thomas and the Tigers return to the field on the 30th of September as they travel to McKenzie, Tennessee to take on the Bethel Wildcats. We'll step away when we get back. Head coach of the Tigers soccer team, Adam Preston, will join us on the Perry Thomas Show.
Grandpa, famous for dropping a line. Lee's, famous for chicken. Fall into a deal this autumn at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our Spicy Jumbo Dippers combo for only $5.99. Take flavor and value to a whole new level with a cup of our Spicy Jumbo Dippers, a side, a biscuit, and a regular drink, all for an amazing price. It's a deal that's easy to fall for. Make fall value season at Lee's with our Spicy Jumbo Dippers combo for only $5.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Here at Saloma Baptist Church, our mission and ministry extends beyond our walls. We are focused on teaching all ages about the love of Jesus, preparing them for a life of mission. We are committed to serving the local community and the world in the name of Jesus Christ. For more information on service times and mission opportunities, please visit our website at salomabaptist.com. We extend a warm welcome to you and your family here at Saloma Baptist Church.
My name is James C. Miller III, and I started to work at Taylor County Bank on July 1st, 1960. The bank was started because during the crash, the banks here failed, or at least one of them did. So there was a need for an additional bank in Taylor County. But the thing about our bank is this, that we had an old slogan back then. First in service, first in safety, first in convenience, and that's what we've always tried to do, and I think we still do.
Campbellsville University Cosmetology teaches beauty inside and out. The cosmetology students at CEU receive salon experience while learning in a contemporary environment from faculty who have worked in the industry. With areas of study ranging from hairstyling to salon management, Campbellsville University Cosmetology can help you turn your passion into a profession. Kickstart your cosmetology career today. Visit campbellsville.edu/cosmetology.
Thanks for staying with us here, Tiger fans, on the Perry Thomas Show. We're now joined in the studio by the head coach of Tiger Soccer, Adam Preston. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us this week.
Glad to be here.
Tiger soccer team ranked 8th in the nation this week as they enter play. A new poll will come out, Coach, before you guys hit the field again on Saturday. That could go a lot of different directions, but just talk me through taking over this program, building a team now that has achieved a top 10 ranking. You guys have come a long way. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a labor of love. When I started this, I wasn't sure what was going on. The Lord called me into this position, and I just wanted to impact young people, and that's something that continues to be a primary goal of our program. but I'm a really competitive guy. I'm a Monopoly board flipper. So over time, we've had to fight battles and work to get resources from the university, and been extremely well supported by the administration. And through that and our passion and adding an assistant coach, Coach Adams, who's fantastic, we've been able to come up and compete with some of the better teams in the nation. Eligibility Center has made it a much more level playing ground. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing now, and it helps us to compete. And we're hoping to keep pushing in national championships in the sites.
We talked about that top 10 ranking or so at 8 in the country, and we look at kind of the schedule to this point for you guys as we pull up a graphic here for those following along on television. You started the season, Coach, 5-0, 5 wins and victories over some pretty good teams, some teams that were receiving votes. Bryan College, in fact, a team that was 11th at the time, you shut them out, I think. So a really good start to this 2017 campaign. Yeah,
we knew that we were going to have a young team this year. We graduated the majority of our midfield, and that's one of those positions where it takes a little bit of seasoning to be able to compete at the top levels. Our young guys have stepped in extremely well. Bryan College game was kind of an eye-opener as to what the competitive level can be. They're a very good team. We went down there and played probably our best game this season. From that point, a little bit of the egos have crept in, and they maybe needed a wake-up call. The Bethel College game last weekend was a very good game, a team that has some players that can do some damage, and they did. Without our captain from that game, he had a suspension from the previous game, and that hurts as well. When you're a young team, you need that consistent leadership, and missing him was a little bit of a problem for us. But I think we'll learn from it. We'll be better and better suited to compete. You mentioned missing, the defensive captain and a guy that's anchoring that back line, so to speak. And how does that change things, even in one game? How does it change things for your club? Yeah, I think a lot of the times, some teams that's not that big a difference. He's one of the best players in the country. The kid's playing Professional Development League in the summers, has decided to stay with us through his 4 years, and is just an absolute top player. So there's a little bit of a drop-off from him to his backup. His backup is a very good player as well, but he's the type of guy that can put the team on his back and lead them forward, and he's done that at different times throughout his career. This game, with the young guys and having to deal with that, they were looking for somebody to kind of step forward, and it just didn't ever come through. That being said, we were down 1-0, started to battle back at 2-0, and got it all the way tied, went back and forth with Bethel trading goals, which from an external perspective was probably a really fun game to watch. From a coaching perspective, not so much. But he's the type of guy I think in that moment would have stepped in and kind of plugged the leaks and sorted things out and probably pulled us through to a victory. But, we all learn. Everybody's better from that experience. You have one more tune-up before you get into some conference play, and your conference schedule comes all together, and then you finish with Oakland City, I think, out of conference to end the year. So you got a lot of conference games coming up, but this Bethel College game this week played Bethel University this past weekend. That was a 5-4 loss, first defeat of the season for the Tigers, but another really good team in Bethel College coming up, a Receiving Votes Club this weekend. Yeah, and I think they're better than Receiving Votes. I think it always takes a while to break in that top 25. They're, I think, 6-1 at this point, and have played some good teams and had good success against them. It'll be a challenge for us. They're experienced, they're organized, and they're well coached. So seeing our guys have to come up against a team like that, it's what we need going into conference play. But it'll be a good test. I think we'll be able to compete with them and get a good result there. You look at the roster, Coach, and we talked a little bit earlier, about being in the top 10 and building this ranking. You look at the roster, I don't see any seniors in that classification column. It's got to make you feel pretty good. It does, and it doesn't. You get to that match where you really need to find that grit, and we've got 3 juniors that we count on, and a 4th junior who's starting to make his name with the team. But that experience goes a long way. We've known that for a long time. We've been extremely blessed the last few years to bring in some transfers and some older guys to play in the midfield. But our young guys are stepping up. They're learning quickly. For now, it's tough because you don't always know how they're going to respond in any given moment. But for the future, it looks bright. We can add a couple pieces, and I think in the next few years we can win a national championship, if not this year. Obviously, the goal for the Tiger program, and Coach, you talked about adding pieces. When you look at that roster, not only is it a young roster to some degree, but a lot of towns that I can't even pronounce in other countries. How do you guys recruit? Soccer seems so wide open from this, worldwide playing field. Yeah, there are great players in the United States. There are great players everywhere. Getting people to come to a small town sometimes is a difficult thing. We spend a lot of time on the phone, a lot of time on the road. I send my assistant, now that I'm married and have a family, I send him to all over the world where I used to go. Typically that process will go as we'll get to a contact. We'll build a relationship. I'll fly over to whatever country it might be. Paraguay was the last place I've been. And then I'll send him back to find the players. Those relationships are important. You build trust over time, and sometimes you miss. That's the hard part about what we do is you can see all the video you want. you can get all the recommendations you want. If you haven't seen a person with your own eyes, you can miss sometimes, and we do. But we've taken the right risk. We cover it in prayer, and it winds up, most times better than we'd expect.
And a lot of those coming out of European countries as well. It seems like Scotland has become a really, you've been able to pull some really, really good, talented players out of there.
Yeah, there's certain dynamics about each country and character traits that run true. Not always, but as a general rule, you can say, okay, these guys are going to be hard. They're going to have played against men. They're ready to compete. They're loud, very vocal guys, but they want to win, and they're desperate for that. And, maybe not the most technically gifted players like you're going to see from places in South America and Spain, but they're the type of guys that are going to go out and they're prepared to fight, which is the reason our captain was on a red card the last game. A little bit too eager there, but that's the type of guys you want to play with and you want to compete with.
You talk about growing the program, the resources have improved, and obviously, earlier in the spring with the Horde Fieldhouse burning down, obviously, a tragedy in terms of campus life, and obviously that impacts soccer a great deal, but good news on the horizon. We spoke with Jim Hardy last week, the new athletics director. He sat in that chair, and there's a new building coming, and that's going to be great for both soccer programs.
Yeah, the Fieldhouse had become our home. We had kind of made it our own, spent a lot of money and time building it up to what we wanted it to be. And when it went down, in the moment, I think it was like, well, what's going on? And then you kind of take a step back, and you're like, okay, this is going to be difficult. But then the university's come in with a beautiful plan. It's going to be an amazing building when it gets all done. And we're excited about that. We're recruiting on that. And now we're just watching the calendar and watching our watches. Okay, timeline, because we want it done before the kids get back. We've been assured that that's going to happen. We trust in the university to do that. But when it's all said and done, we're going to have a fantastic facility that people are going to want to come and play at.
Coach, thanks for taking a few moments to join us this week. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Coach Adam Preston and the Tigers take on Bethel College here at home this weekend. Thanks for staying with us this week on the Perry Thomas Show. We'll see you next week.